Hello guys, so today we're here with a BMW maintenance vehicle. Today we're going to do Serpentine belt. I got a kit off FCP Euro which includes the Continental belt as well as your two idler pulleys, your bottom and your lower, as well as your belt tensioner assembly. Fairly inexpensive. Should do them every 30 to 50,000 miles or so, and get this started. So in order to get to the belt assembly down there, what we're gonna have to remove is your intake duct housing, just these little clips right here, very easy to pry off. And then you got these bad boys, which I believe are 12s, so you don't want to take the strut bar off. And then that'll allow you access to your fan right here. Now your fan's fairly simple. There's gonna be a clip down there, as well as this connector and a clip down there. And you're just gonna wanna like kind of pry it back and pull straight up. Of course, be very careful of the AC lines right here that are connected to the fan, as well as your hood latch line right here, which is connected to the strut bracing. So gonna get the camera set up and then we'll start getting that all taken off. All right, so turns out for the strut bar, it's actually a 13. Get those taken off real quick. So now, in order to take this off, you're just going to want to pry these in and kind of push them down. Usually pretty simple. Alright, so I didn't realize that the video had cut out, but basically what you're going to want to do is kind of shimmy it off this way, kind of angle the strut bar this way, so that way you can get this more clear of this, because this is one of your AC lines, you know, don't want to break anything right there. Alright, so next what we're going to do is just disconnect these bad boys. As I was saying, you know, these are your AC lines. You know, it's not like they're weak by any means necessary, and you're gonna have to put like a little bit of behind getting these undone, but not too much. Like I said, they're not flexible like rubber hoses, you know, because these got Freon in them. So you're just gonna want to pry open these tabs and get it pushed out. So now that you got these pushed off and are free of your lines, this is what you're going to want to take off next. Just has these little push tabs right there on the side that you're going to want to click and then do a little bit of shimmying. Usually comes off fairly simple. It might be a little bit caked on. I had just recently done some cooling stuff, so fairly simple to get off. And then next, I don't know if you could see down there, but there's a clip right here and a clip right here. And essentially what you're doing is you're pushing in a tab right there and then pulling the fan straight up. So let me set you down right here. So what I'm gonna do is come down with my left hand and push this tab in, and then just very carefully lift up a little bit And then keep holding it up because you don't want it to go seat back down into that tab. And do the same thing for the other side, if I can find it. And just like that, you got your fan free. Now it's gonna take a little bit of shimmying, a little bit of wiggling. I'm gonna use both my hands and then we'll get you back when I get this out. All right, guys. All right, so now that you got your fan out, one thing I forgot to mention is, so on the driver's side, this fan does fold in like this, or that clip on the fan folds in. That way, you're easier to get it shimmied out. So next thing you're gonna need is a T60 to make your belt loose, right there on the tensioner pulley. And then your upper and your control, or your upper and your lower idler pulleys, you're gonna need a T50 for that. So I just got mine from local auto store, just some Pittsburgh Harbor Freight Specialties. And then I got my Husky breaker bar and torque wrench. So, which you will also need torque wrenches, torque everything down to spec. And you know, I can get into that when we get there. So let's see where I can set you up. So basically what you're doing is we're getting this bad boy in, and then we're doing it to the right like this, right? And then that will knock it loose, and then you just get your other hand in there, and if I can, actually I might need to move positions. Alright, get it all the way loose. Radiator sock. Alright, so you're getting it loose. And then you're just sliding that belt off to the best of your abilities. Like I said, I was just driving this for about an hour, so everything is a bit hot. Maybe don't make that same mistake as me. All right, and then you got your belt loose. You can let this go back down. And then we'll start taking everything off. All right, now that we got the belts out, making sure 1478, 1478. This is what I recommend. I have Continental over there on my E92. We've been running good for a while now. Definitely some tearing in this belt. Oh shit. So definitely getting torn up a little bit. The main reason for this is because our idler pulley was rattling quite a bit. Definitely a little bit more play than usual. So I'm just kind of getting in there, taking everything down, you know, just common maintenance type stuff. So, all right, so next we're gonna want to do, because it's gonna be on usually both of these, is like, I don't know if you can see, this little plastic cover just right there on the pulley. So you want to take your little pick and get that off. Try not to burn yourself like I am, and also try not to let it just fall down, otherwise you're gonna have to take the shield off. So let me get my arm into here, just like that, and that will expose the little T50 that we will be taking off momentarily. And I can't tell, but it looks like the cap for the other one on the bottom's already off. Maybe the previous technician just didn't install it. I mean, like I said, if you don't take off the bottom shield, kind of like what I'm doing right now, you're just coming in from the top, and it is a bit of a reach on these X5s. So next, what you're going to want to do is just going to leave that right there. Find my other ratchet. All right, get this bad boy off. So I'm using a small extension just because, you know, these hoses and stuff are in the way, but obviously can't have too big of a one. So let's see. Oh, it looks like we're right on the money. So I'm gonna get it in there. Can be a little tight on there, you know, but usually pretty straightforward to get off. All right, so there's one. And then the other one is right below it. If I can get in there. So now that you got all that off, you know, the main reason for replacing these is they just get really gunked up and stuff over time. Like, I'm sure you could just clean everything off, but I mean, they make these replacement parts so cheap, you might as well just do the whole thing the right way, you know? I mean, look at that. I mean, that bearing is getting rusty, you know, maybe even whoever did it last only replaced the top versus the bottom, because the top's definitely been replaced, but that bottom one has seen way better days. But that is why we got a new one. Nice new bearing, looks great. All right, so now for this right here, we got, so basically we got an E socket, and very common on these BMWs. I can even put a link down in the description below, but I just have this little E-Torx socket set. Comes with everything you need, 1/4 inch, especially for, you know, those little, what do you call it, oil filter housing gaskets, all that stuff right there. You're gonna want a little set like this. So get into here. I'm pretty sure it's either a 14 or a 16. So I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but that's why I tell you right now. I actually might be wrong completely. It might be a 12. So there's a little bit of play in that 14 there. I could have sworn it was a 14 on my other car, but yeah. So it's a 12. So now what we're gonna do is take this bad boy off. If it'll give it to me. All right, and of course I got all my 1/2 inch, so we need a 3/8. And let's see, yes, my bay is a mess, currently doing intake stuff right now, so looks like it was back here anyways. So now that we got that on, hopefully I don't need an extension, but we're just gonna loosen this guy off. A little bit of a tight fit without an extension. Should have just put one on, but we're already here, so let's just get it done. All right. One rotation at a time, am I right? All right, so let's see if that's hand loose enough now. Oh, so close. So yeah, don't make my mistake of use a small extension. Obviously, like I said, not too big, but a little bit more, so that way you're not sitting here like me, one rotation at a time. I'm trying to do as little cuts as possible so you guys see exactly what's going on, because especially on these E70 LCIs, the 35Is, there's really just not too many videos that even I found. Luckily, you know, most BMWs are relatively the same, but X5s, you know, very common vehicle to get into, especially with BMWs, you know, as a family, you know, you're looking for somewhat cheap and fun 7-seaters. So, and you know, if you're anything like me, one like this will catch your eye. All right, so now that you got that big bad boy long screw out that's scorching hot, I'm gonna get my gloves to take off the rest. All right, so I got the gloves. Basically, yeah, just wiggles right out. I just didn't want to touch it because it's really hot. So what's really nice about the kits on FCP Euro, I mean, I'm sure most of these parts are exactly the same, but so there's your original, and then here's the new one, and it comes with a slave pin. That way, you know, it keeps it nice and loose. That way you're able to get your belt on, and when you're ready, just bam, get it all tightened. It's actually really nice. I've owned lots of cars, you know, Hondas, Chevys, and most parts do not come like that. So it's actually a blessing. So one thing we also forgot to do was remember how to route this. Usually I'll draw up a little diagram. I'll probably just clip in a picture that I'm gonna find, so that way I can look at the diagram real quick, and also look at the torque specs for everything. I'm pretty sure it should be the same as the E92 out there, but you know, I just always want to double check, make sure we get everything good on that. Side note, Colorado N5X, I mean, look at these. These are absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna be making a separate video on how to install the mirror caps on your E92s pre-LCI. Of course, I've got actually the last month, February 2010 is when that car was made, the last month that can be pre-LCI. It's always blown my mind. I was right on the cutoff, but it's okay. Learn from my mistake. Got an LCI E70. This is 2013. It looks great, honestly. So gonna look up the torque specs, going to look up the belt diagram, and I'll clip in both of those once I get them. And then we'll, you know, basically you're just gonna wanna put in your pulleys and then your tensioner, route the belt, and then make the tensioner loose, take out the slave pin, and then boom, once it's tightened up, good to go. And then we'll put everything else back together. All right, y'all, I'm back. About to put the tensioner on, already put on the pulleys. Haven't torqued anything down yet. I did find out that the pulleys are 60 newtons and this is 38 newtons. I can put a little cutout or a little clip of the torque specs, but I had to go to BMW of Loveland to get this bolt for the belt tensioner. My kit was supposed to come with a new one, but it didn't. You definitely always want to use new ones because they're aluminum and they're one-time use and could snap when you re-torque them down, or if they don't snap when you torque them down, they can snap under tension. So you never want that to happen, because then you got to go through the process of drilling it out, putting a new stud in there. All very tedious work on any motor, especially a BMW motor. So that being said, what we're gonna do is get this bad boy in, if I can see anything. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to yeah, so I'm gonna have to put the camera down this way, so that way we can look up in there. Might as well get the bolt ready as well. Okay, so I see it. It's very easy to, I mean, it's not easy to mess up the orientation of this, because it basically has just like a nice little slot for it to go into. You know. Right there. All right, y'all. So I don't know if you can see, but so I got the tensioner in. Still don't have anything torqued down. Had to use both hands to really get it in there and feel my way. You don't want it in this top portion here. It's kind of hard to see, but because then it'll just free spin. You want it in this bottom section, so that way it's nice and locked. So what I'm gonna do next is torque everything down, and then pull the belt out and get that routed up. Again, I'll put a picture of the diagram as well as show you how it should look and which way it's routed. And then we'll loosen it, take the pin out, and just like that, it should be good. And then we'll have to get everything else back on, and we'll go through that process. So good. So let me get all this stuff torqued down and the belt routed, because I'm gonna need 2 hands for that. And I'll show you guys how it all looks. So I couldn't really find a diagram. I did find one for F10 5 series. It was pretty similar, you know. So basically what you're going to want to do is, you're going around the crank, down and around the top of this idler, and then around the power steering and the AC, and then back down, backside again on this idler, of course, and then up over the alternator and belt tensioner right there. So without further ado, let's get this fully seated, shall we? Alright, so we gotta be quick because phone battery's dying. But looks like we got our belt fully seated. I don't know if you can see here on the crank. Looks like on all the spindles, and lastly here around the alternator. So now we're gonna put back in our fan and our strut bar, and then the air duct, and start it up. Might even leave the air duct off when I start it up, but yeah, let's get all this on. All right, so we got everything together. One last little look-see. Everything looks seated, and now we're gonna start it up.
Yeah, and Mama's gonna come to us.
And there we go. No more rattle coming from that idle pulley. And that is how you do a 2011 to 2013 BMW X5 35i Serpentine belt replacement.